maybe this is the only way the left will learn. The once greatest city has to fall. Joining me now is former federal prosecutor and former acting ICE Director Jonathan Fehee. Also with us is Nest Point Managing Director and Republican political strategist John Thomas. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
So, Jonathan, this guy's problematic. We also know that Mamdani won't condemn the Intifada. But at the end of the day, you know, his policies, we know they're controversial to say the least. But do you agree we should be focusing instead on what he's actually saying most of all if they want to beat him?
Yes, I think that's a political matter. You know, basically what he's running for is New York City will become essentially hell on earth if he wins. And that's really the message you want to get out there. But I do think it's important when you look at immigration broadly, if people are lying on naturalization applications, that should be investigated. It shouldn't be investigated because he's running for office. But if that is a fact, it doesn't mean it should be ignored. But I think the broader problems that you're pointing out, his policies on things like immigration, things on housing are really what the voters are going to reject and what's the best for New York. But I think one thing that Donald Trump is going to do, which is not weaponizing the justice system in any way, is if he obstructs ICE in their role of deporting illegal aliens, if he harbors illegal aliens as part of his role as a mayor, he will get arrested for that and he will be prosecuted for that. That rightfully so. So I think that should be the focus on, you know, if you're obstructing, if you're harboring, you should face justice, and also all the other policies that are essentially going to, if New Yorkers are sensible, which I question the fact that he even got this far, if they are, but if they are, they shouldn't vote for this guy.
Right. Only 5% of New Yorkers came out to vote in that Democratic primary. So this guy is definitely beatable. John Thomas, New York Governor Kathy Hochul, she's apparently running to Mamdani's defense. She posted on X, quote, "I don't care if you're the president of the United States. If you threaten to unlawfully go after one of our neighbors, you're picking a fight with 20 million New Yorkers. As a New Yorker, I mean, yeah, starting with me, she's such a joke. She doesn't speak for this New Yorker, and she's clearly unfavorable. But I also looked at a lot of videos of Mamdani. He's an assemblyman here. He's been very critical of Hochul, but you see, now, because President Trump has mentioned him and said he would arrest him only if he would impede federal authorities if he became mayor, now all of a sudden he's become like this political martyr. So in a way, is all of this theater and it's kind of playing into Mamdani's hand?
You know, Lydia, you make a great point. There is a lot of theater here, and I do think we should focus on the issues because we win. I mean, it's not just we win in places like New York. We win in Michigan. We win in Los Angeles. We win in Texas and Florida. These are the kinds of stark policy differences that between a communist, and by the way, Lydia, there's a reason why most Democrats, elected officials, are getting in line behind Mamdani. It's because they agree with him. Let's just say that out loud. The Democratic Party has shifted so far left that they cannot condemn essentially a communist who might be the next mayor, highest profile mayor from the Democratic Party. So look, if this trend is, as sorry as I am for you, Lydia, that you live in New York and have to deal with this person potentially as mayor, as you look more broadly as we go into the midterm cycle, the next presidential cycle, the Democrats are going to have to own this policy. And as a Republican strategist, I'll take that bet any day of the week. The rest of the country will not stand behind socialist and communist policies.
I know, maybe it has to get worse before it gets better. I mean, you know, it's incredible to me. You know, Jonathan, Mamdani has also been outspoken about having illegal aliens be allowed to stay here in New York City. He says he doesn't want to work with ICE agents if he becomes mayor. He's so anti-law enforcement, from cops to jails. He wants to get rid of jails. You just heard that clip right there saying that, oh, if somebody commits a crime, maybe we should give them a penthouse, give them supportive housing. What do you think about this? If he were to do all of these things, it sounds like we'd have complete chaos, anarchy throughout New York City.
Yeah, it is like next level nonsense when you hear this guy. And the fact, I think it's exactly right, is this guy, as crazy as it seems, he's mainstream in today's Democratic Party. You remember the Democratic Party today is essentially an open borders amnesty party. I think everyone in the United States Senate voted for men to be able to play women's sports. So they are so far out of the mainstream. And he's really reflective of the party, not necessarily an aberration, but again, the immigration, like you see with this candidate, you see with Mayor Bass in LA, they think they can have their own immigration policies and ignore federal law. And I think, that's going to be a major problem for him if he's I guess, fulfills the promise if he's elected, because he will be arrested for that. But it really does just show Democratic Party is out there. The open borders amnesty agenda is not what the American people want. Donald Trump is not arresting illegals because he wants to. He's doing it because it's his responsibility to enforce the immigration laws, and that's what he was elected to do as well. So yeah, I think it's sort of next level crazy, but it's also a reality in New York, and hopefully sensible heads will prevail. But I'm not sure the 5% that voted are not necessarily reflective of the broader electorate or not. I know you're not in that 5%, right, but I think a lot of people are.
Yeah, it is frightening. We have less than 30 seconds, John Thomas. What do you think of the fact that Schumer, Hakeem, Jeffries, Hochul, they all not officially endorsed Mamdani, but they haven't criticized or condemned him either? What does that say to you?
Well, it tells me how far leftward the Democratic Party has shifted and how they're afraid of candidates like Mamdani. And we're looking towards the presidential cycle, the Democratic primary. I think the intensity we saw for Mamdani is going to be reflected in the upcoming presidential contest in the Democratic primary, which forecasting forward tells me AOC, that type of socialist and communist candidate, is going to be a lot more powerful and a lot more viable than people might have given him credit to.
Yep. It's not looking good. Jonathan Fehee and John Thomas, but I try to stay positive. You never know. Hopefully New Yorkers will have some common sense and do the right thing. All right. Thank you, guys. All right.
Thank you.
Coming up.